Okay, I'm here to talk about bifurcation, which is something a lot of people are talking about. So first, let's look at what it actually is, and then look at why it's important. Well, bifurcation is a simple word which means splitting into two, like a fork in the road. What is applied to at this time is the fact that people are expecting a splitting of realities. To explain this, I want to talk about evolution. Now, most modern theories of evolution are based on Bifurcation's work, who was a mathematician. Darwin's theories are totally disproven. Basically, any open system, when it's interacting with its environment, if it's overwhelmed, it'll break down and reorganize at a higher level. Now, this new level can either be more primitive or more complex, whichever is better for survival. So this is the point of bifurcation, either become more primitive or more complex. Every species, as it evolves, goes through these mutations, so it can go into a new form. And so the human race is reaching this point where it can go one way or the other. This is what the bifurcation means. What makes it more complicated this time is the fact that we become more aware of higher spiritual principles in this, and the fact that we create our reality and timelines can shift. What people are expecting now then is actually a total shifting of realities, that actually both can exist, but in different realities, so one doesn't see the other. So half the people might go to one, other half go to the other. Two separate groups that don't see each other anymore, two different realities. This is what bifurcation is. Well, first of all, let's look at how these things work, because obviously we're all energy. A lot of the kind of modern physics, such as the Bohr's wave particle duality, show that everything is energy until it's observed. You observe a wave, it becomes a particle. It becomes localized. Until we actually observe something and focus upon it and expect it, it's just energy. And so all these different energies coexist, almost like different channels on a TV. Imagine the world's like a big television. If you tune to one station, that's what you see. All the others exist as frequencies, you're not seeing them because you're not tuned to them. What's going to happen here, you've got two channels in a way. You can either watch one or the other. When you're observing that one, that's what becomes your reality. It becomes solid, it becomes physical. So what happens then, you only experience one. The other exists in energy, but you don't see it. It's not solidified for you. Other people will actually be in that one and don't see you. So from your point of view, you don't see the other reality, you only see yours. So you don't necessarily have to know that it's a bifurcation that's happened. You simply find that the world has changed, some people are gone, and you're in one particular reality or the other. There's always multiple possibilities, but right now we're looking at two. You see, we're always creating various possible futures, and which of those futures get the most energy from our attention and so on are the ones which manifest. So there's always many trying to happen, but right now we're looking at which have become most solidified because they've got most attention. Right now we're looking at two possible realities. This is what the bifurcation is, a split into two. The reason people bring up Atlantis, because this is when this bifurcation was last experienced. It seems to happen in cycles as you go through different ages of 12,000 years. So the last sinking of Atlantis was 12,000 years ago. And what a lot of people are realizing now is that it didn't all go one way. We've evolved from Atlantis that was destroyed, but there's a separate reality where people created the miracle. So actually being destroyed, they actually got everything right. They rose to a higher level, became more spiritual, and created like a more miraculous world. That world is now coexisting with ours, but we don't see it. We've evolved from one Atlantis. We are experiencing one line of evolution from when Atlantis was destroyed. There'll be a separate one somewhere else, which exists on the world, but we don't see it. It's different frequency. But people created the miracle. That was a bifurcation. So what we're doing now is actually similar to Atlantis. We're about to go through the split. You go one way or the other. Well, the big thing to realize here is that you don't get to the positive side by sitting on the fence. You have to act towards it. You have to be a part of creating it. You actually have to be a co-creator in it. This can happen in many ways. So a lot of people just do it through the metaphysical tools, visualization, prayer, affirmations, whatever. Doing your inner work on yourself to change, make sure you're high vibration. Others out there more being proactive in the world, trying to change on a political level, rebelling here and actually making protests there and bringing truth out to the world to actually try and make a change. Either way, you're putting energy into the reality you want. The biggest part of it is really raising vibration, because it's what you're looking at. A shift of two possible vibrations, a lower or higher. the primitive or the complex. Therefore, the first thing to do to actually ensure you're on the positive side is to raise your vibration as high as you can. Awaken your spiritual centers, focus on the higher frequencies of love, enthusiasm, compassion, all these things that make a better world. If you raise your vibration, you're actually resonating with a better world already. So any way you can raise your vibration is helpful. It can be meditation mandalas, it can be mantras, prayer, meditation, but of course, visualize the world you want. And also receive what's coming in. The positive vibrations are out there. As said, for instance, there's already a coexisting reality of Atlantis that was created miraculously. If you are aware of that vibration and just let it in, you actually resonate with the miraculous state and help you actually create it. So receive the positive vibrations that are out there. There's many energies coming into the world to help us. It's a case of actually letting them in and letting them change you. Meditating with them, basically, but also it's useful to know what they are. There are various attunements put out there, like ones I put out there, the high vibration chakra attunements and the God vibration mastery sequence. These are all attunements you can receive that automatically raise your vibration to where they need to be at this time, because they're actually created for this kind of time. They are part of the positive reality. So it's about resonance. You see, with the resonance, you have to understand it's not about force. Waves change each other. They come together and produce a new wave. If you receive the right energies of those realities you want, it changes you to a part of that reality. So it isn't all hard work in actually creating the reality we want. It's going to happen anyway. We want to make sure we're attuned to it. So you let it in, you let it change. Basically, you can see all the bad things happening in the world where people are going to be enslaved. There's going to be a great global reset where you lose all freedom, lose all property, you don't own anything. There's more mind control, and basically you're slaves. All spirituality is crushed. Your higher chakras are closed, so you can't access spiritual energy anymore. You're basically slaves. Well, first of all, you don't have to believe in bifurcation. You only have to actually decide to work on a positive reality. Everybody can see that, the world can go in two ways. A lot of people trying to make change and awaken truth. Other people going with the agenda and going into this global reset. So you only have to be aware that you need to do something about it right now, because the world can go either way. However, also be aware that we affect each other. Of course, we can't just leave our loved ones there and decide to go somewhere on our own, because that's not loving at all, is it? You have to realize we do an impact upon them, and working on ourselves affects them. If we raise our vibration, we raise those closest to us as well. So we should actually take into account our loved ones and actually work on actually visualizing a world where they're also part of that. They're also growing and learning. And by putting out love, we encourage them to grow. Now, we don't force them to grow. That's not going to work at all. What I teach a lot of my courses is how to actually hold a space of appreciation and enthusiasm. And in that space, you watch people grow. It happens. A lot of people don't believe this until they see it. But you hold that state of enthusiasm, love, no judgment, and just actually appreciate them for what they are. Everybody starts letting go of all their garbage and they grow, they expand. This is what has to happen. We have to hold all our loved ones in love, deal with our own judgments and get rid of those, and just keep moving everything towards the positive. We don't force them, but they will grow with us. This can happen in many ways. It all depends on what you're going to allow. You see, we have expectations and our beliefs which shape the reality we can experience. So, for instance, if you're open to a person just suddenly vanishing into reality yours, that can happen, but most people aren't. It'll happen in a natural, normal way. It could be that they simply moved somewhere else, you don't see them anymore, you don't know what happened to them. It could be that they've died. It might be in their reality you've died, but you don't know how it's going to happen. But basically, you're going to be separated. Many things can happen to separate you. How far out that is depends on what you're going to allow. It depends on your belief and expectation. Well, if you go back to my analogy of the TV set, it's like we've got a television here with two channels. We experience in one channel because that's what we're tuned to. The energy is right here. They're not physical to us, because the physicality is only how we've actually manifested the energy by observing it. To them, they're the physical ones and we are not. They're right here in the same planet, but creating a different reality. So from our point of view, there exists as energy, a frequency, a wave. We're not attuned to it, so we don't see them, but they're there. So both worlds are here, but we only experience one of them. There is possibility of some level of communication as you get close to the vibration, simply because as we are coming to the point of bifurcation, some of us are resonating with that level, therefore we're getting close to them. It may be that after bifurcation we'll actually be living amongst them. It all depends on how far you can shift your vibration in this state. But since we're moving to another positive reality that's happened before, we could actually be with those who are already creating a miracle. You may find that these people come forward you haven't seen before, who are actually offering a better way and showing how to live a miraculous life. And it'll fit in somehow to your belief system, so it doesn't look too freaky. They're not going to suddenly appear from nowhere, but they could come in all kinds of strange ways. Maybe people see them as aliens, maybe people see them as spirits, or maybe they've suddenly turned up from nowhere, you haven't seen them before, but they've presented themselves to the public now. But basically there'll be those who show us a better way because they've been living it. Also, on an energetic level, yes, they do affect us right now. As we're getting close to this bifurcation point, we're getting close to the vibration. If the energy of miracles and a more positive state already exists, we can let that vibration in to affect us. It all depends what you're going to allow. So you can attune to it, you might not see them, but you can actually let that energy in. There's a more miraculous state there, a high vibration. Let them touch you, just let the energy in to change you. It'll help you create your miracle. Well, basically, yes, we'd be being of a higher vibration, so if on the scale, it'll be the higher level of the scale. You don't want to be the 200 with people stuck in a negativity. Can't say exactly where that splitting point is, but basically, yes, it's about raising vibration, which means to be in a more positive emotional state. Now, this is not to say you should suppress those negative emotions. That does not help. Suppression is what causes the problems. The way forward is to welcome the emotions until they pass. If you tune to a higher vibration, it'll bring out all those lower emotional states, and this is where you can go wrong. Don't think it's wrong when your negative emotions coming up. That's part of the cleansing. If you're choosing to raise your vibration and tune to more positive realities, all that negativity is going to be in the surface. The thing to do is not so much identify with it, but to welcome it. Realize these are just old negative emotions. I'm going to welcome them, and when I finish feeling them, they pass. Then I come back to the positive. You may find you go through many layers of this. You focus on the positive, negativity comes up. You welcome it, back to the positive. More negativity comes up. You welcome that. Then go back to the positive. Eventually, all there is the positive. So don't suppress those negative emotions, but yes, raise up the scale by welcoming emotions. It depends on the trigger, really, doesn't it? If I'm focusing on something positive and things come up as a reaction, then obviously that positive energy is what's triggering it. If it's something bad happening outside that triggers me, that's a whole different thing. So really, what I'm saying only applies to this process of growth. If you're actually letting in positive vibrations and tune to something positive, it's going to bring things up. However, it's no difference. If you feel any negative emotion, just welcome it. If you don't, you suppress it, and it's stuck inside the body, and it's still creating reactions. There's no reason we shouldn't. It's simply a change. We still have a history, but we'll remember this is a point where things change. We may not be aware of it as a bifurcation, but be aware that our world is changing. From all the trouble of the past, suddenly things get better, truth comes out, we all grow, we create a better world. It can affect plants only if we decide to destroy them. You see, these plants are here anyway. They're going to be here. They're not going through the same issues we're going through. However, if we want one reality to destroy the plants, it means the plant's gone for that reality. So it will affect them. It doesn't really affect them as they are because they'll exist in the other reality. They'll be in the positive side. Otherwise, if there's no change to what people do to the nature around you, it doesn't affect them. That's a good question because we need to start right now. If this change is coming, you need to make sure you're of the positive vibration that can be in the better reality. So you raise your vibration any way you can. You work on yourself, you release negative states of emotion, you release your past, release your old traumas, your negative attachments, you meditate, you do mantras, you visualize, you receive attunements, all these things. But the most important point here is to visualize the world that you want, a more positive world. You're visualizing it, you're becoming part of reality. And also remember to receive. When you put out that visualization, realize that it exists. Sit back and receive from it. Let it in. Let it change you. You include them in your meditations and your visualization. When you visualize a more positive world, you include them in that visualization. See them there, more positive, problem solved, everything getting better. Communication between you improving, everything you want. There are several things I'm putting up at the moment. First of all, I'm putting out these new attunements, the God Vibration, Mastery Sequence, and the Unlimited Potential Chakra attunements. These you can do at home anytime. You receive them, and I send the attunements, and they will change your vibration. They awaken all the higher spiritual states in you, reattune your chakras to a higher level, so everything gets easy. When your vibration is increased, then you're naturally going to resonate with a positive reality. If some of the things I've spoke about seem difficult, once you've changed your vibration, they won't be difficult anymore. It'll be natural. Apart from that, learn the shadow work. You see, dealing with our shadows is important because all the people around us are reflections of that shadow, especially family. If you think they're in a negative state, that's reflecting something in you. If you change that thing inside yourself, they change too and come with you. A big part of changing reality is to actually look at your shadow. All the things that you deny inside yourself, which are reflected in others, especially those closest to you. I teach this work in my darkness course, but also in the Ultimate Healing course. And actually the Ultimate Healing course is going to be one of the most positive things to do because it covers many of the things I've spoken about. You learn how to work with unconditional love and appreciation to make change. You learn to do your shadow work. You learn to create what you want. You learn to discreate things you don't want. You learn the process of actually going through emotions and releasing them all. So that one course will actually give you all the tools you need to actually make this positive change. Only that it's time to make change. If you've been thinking about doing any kind of spiritual growth or started any courses or training and you want path of meditation, now is a very good time. Now is the time everything is changing, and it's like it's time to put past all the procrastination, all the things that got in the way, and actually do it. Now is the time you can actually make most progress in your path.